59 years ago this week, 4 little black girls were killed and many others were injured in a church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama. The event would serve as a catalyst for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, but victims' families and survivors would wait 40 years to see the perpetrators of this crime behind bars. The suspects were members of the Ku Klux Klan, and the all-white segregationist officials in the area weren't especially inclined to pursue them. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. held marches and protests in solidarity with disenfranchised black people who sought equal rights for their community. Tune in to Murder Murder News wherever you get your podcasts for the full story.
It was the oldest black church in Birmingham, and it was fairly large. And so it made sense that meetings would happen there, which would also make it a target. On Sunday morning, September 15th, it was Youth Day. Right after Sunday school, Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robinson, Denise McNair, and Cynthia Wesley are getting ready to go into the choir.
I remember Addie, I was closest to Addie. We would go to church picnics. Addie and I just gravitated to each other.
Cynthia Wesley was a friend of mine. She was at my school. She was a 9th grader. Just started in September, and I was an 11th grader.
I remember Denise back there always smiling, and she was the only child. And I remember Carol Robinson being quiet, and she played in the orchestra at her school.
Addie Mae's sister Sarah is also in that ladies' lounge. Sarah said the last thing that she remembers is seeing them helping each other tie on sashes, and then it went dark. We're talking about an explosion that reverberates through the entire city of Birmingham. Everybody heard it.
I was at South Illerton Baptist Church, and our pastor was shifting kind of nervously across the room and said he had received word that 16th Street Baptist Church had been bombed.
I was in Sunday school class. The building seemed like it was shaking off its foundation. Fumes, smelling fumes, and getting hit in the head. I couldn't find my younger sister. Only later to find out that she was taken to the hospital. She was only 4. She was cut in the head, blood dripping down her clothes and down her face.
Reverend John Cross comes down after the explosion to go into the hole and hears moaning.
My father heard somebody saying, Addie, Addie, and he realized that Sarah was calling her sister's name because that's the last voices that she heard before the explosion occurred.
They find the bodies, and they're almost literally stacked on top of each other.
He said they looked like they had been blown together.
It devastated me. It was just so painful to know that these girls were killed at church. They had not done anything to deserve something like that.
That was enough to pull people off the fence. Kids are supposed to be safe at church. This is not supposed to happen in America. We're above this kind of thing. And so this was the catalyst to get some things moving.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10, and it reads, For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Rahakakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the 4 corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazar from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. And what you just saw was 2 clips about that fateful day in September 15th, 1963, the 16th Street, the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And, you know, same old stuff with Esau, Edom, okay? And this scripture, Obadiah 1 and 10, is still on the screen, is talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, okay, who is the wicked according to the scriptures, Malachi 1 and 4, okay, about his perpetual hatred for Jacob, okay, and Jacob being interchangeable with Israel, okay, the 12 tribes of Israel. And he's always had that hate for us going all the way back to Genesis chapter 27, verse 41. But those videos were just little snippets of the history. I have an article here from blackpast.org. I'm going to read and then get some scriptures to it. And, that'll be it for this yet another installment of our camps series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. We've been, very active with this, and, just a lot of history is coming out regarding Esau Edom and what he's done to us. He's been using the same playbook over and over and over again, at the civilian level with help from the government level. All right. So this article is from blackpast.org. I have another article I'm going to look at too from Wikipedia, but that's just to show you a little something. It's from blackpast.org, and I'll put the links to these articles in the description box. All right. It's titled Birmingham 16th Street Baptist Church Bombing 1963. This article was written December 31st, 2008. Contributed by Nick Manos in memory of the four girls, Denise McNair, Cynthia Wesley, Addie Mae Collins, and Carol Robertson. All right. The 16th Street Baptist Church bombing took place on September 15th, 1963, just 19 days after Dr. Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington in Washington, D.C. Four young girls, Denise McNair, age 11, and Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Addie Mae Collins, all age 14, were killed in a racially motivated attack by the Ku Klux Klan against an African American church, okay, active in the ongoing civil rights campaign in Birmingham, Alabama. The attack was meant to disrupt black community activists who had been demonstrating for weeks for an end to racial segregation in the city. It had the opposite effect. Because the four young girls were killed on their way to a basement assembly hall for closing prayers on a Sunday morning, the national public's anger and revulsion at the slaughter of the children at the place of worship helped build support in the John Kennedy administration for civil rights legislation. And I'll just pause right here real quick. That reminds me of the account of the scriptures where we were attacked on the Sabbath day, and in the Apocrypha, in the book of Maccabees, I believe. Okay, they attacked these. Although it's not the same worship that the Israelites do, but they got them in the place where they thought they were worshiping the Most High, most likely in the wrong name, but it was a place of worship. That's when they attacked them at the weakest point. All right. Continue on with the article. 22 others were injured, many of them children that had been in the same group as the girls. 16th Street Baptist Church had been a rallying point for civil rights activists throughout the spring and summer of 1963 leading up to the bombing. The activists had finally reached an agreement with Birmingham authorities to begin integrating schools, and segregationists were outraged. Four men, Bobby Frank Cherry, Thomas Blanton, Robert Chambliss, and Herman Cash, who were members of the United Klans of America, went to the church and planted 19 sticks of dynamite behind the basement of the building. The explosion, which occurred around 10:20 that Sunday morning, destroyed the rear end of the building. The steps going outside were destroyed, as were all but one of the church's stained glass windows. Many nearby cars outside damaged or destroyed, and even windows of the laundromat across the street were blown out. That was a powerful bomb, okay, if you got some across the street. The public funeral for the three of the girls attracted over 8,000 people, but not one Birmingham or Alabama official attended. And most likely, they knew about it. This is the pattern that we're finding with this history. The government has always had a hand, or always knew what the civilians were going to do. You know, either had a hand in it, or did not, hold them accountable, at least initially, because these guys, were brought to justice, 40 years later. All right. Continuing on, the Birmingham Post-Herald reported a month later that in the aftermath of the bombing, no one had been arrested for the incident itself, but 23 African Americans, so-called African Americans, had been arrested for charges ranging from disorderly conduct to being drunk and loitering, mostly in the vicinity of the church. One black youth was gunned down by police after he threw rocks at passing cars with white passengers. Of the 4 terrorists involved in the bombing, that's exactly what they were, terrorists, Robert Chambliss was tried for murder first. He was convicted in 1977 and died in prison in 1985. Blanton and Cherry were convicted of murder in 2001 and 2002 respectively, and they were both sentenced to life in prison. Cherry died in 2004. The 4th terrorist, Herman Cash, died in the 1994 charges could be brought against him. Yeah, so he was never held accountable. All right. 40 years after that event. All right. Man, let's, well, first of all, I wanted to show you this article, in Wikipedia. Okay. And like I said, I'll put a link to this in a description, in the description box. But this aftermath of what happened, all right, you'll get to see this was donated. This stained glass window, the Wells window of Alabama, designed by artist John Petts. Okay, now Petts, appears to be an Edomite. Appears to be. I can't say for sure, but he appears to be. But I want to go back to that stained glass. When you go into it, ironically, they it's a Slovakia. It's a oh, you know what? They showed it in his picture here. That's, when you go back to this photograph here, this black and white photo. It says it depicts a black Hamashiach with his arms stretched. Okay. When I go back on this photo, yeah, this is it right here. All right, in color. All right. Ironically, they they picked that one, letting you know that they know what the Lord looks like. This was 1963, so they know what the Lord looks like. All right. But like I was saying, they weren't charged until 40 years later. This is the book of Psalms 73 and 5. And it reads, "They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men." Yeah, let that had been a Jake that did something like that to an Edomite church, a so-called white church. You know, we already know throughout throughout this series, you know, they grabbed the first Jake that they got and judged them quickly and executed them. You know, not the police itself. For some reason, you know, every time the jail is always overtaken by a mob, and they take him out and hang him. Okay, if that had been a Jake, that judgment would have been expeditious, very quick. All right. Verse 6. Therefore pride compasses them about as a chain, violence cover them as a garment. You know, that's the thing. I mean, you know, that when you see them, you know something's not going to be right. Okay, especially in that time. You know, that pride is something else, and that's, you know, one of the things that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai hates is pride. You know, pride goeth forth Salakia. Pride goeth before the destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. All right. He said, violence covered them as a garment. You know, they wear that stuff like clothes. They wear violence like they do clothes. You know. All right. And you know how they went about this too. You know, planted it all of a suddenly, knowing that those people were going to be defenseless. It's a church, you know, just like that Dylan Roof kid did not too long ago. You know, went into that Bible study and gunned those 9 people down. All right. This is Psalms 10, chapter 10, verse 8. And it reads, He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. All right? And that's exactly what he does. Let's get that word privily in the blue letter. Psalms 10. 10 and 8. Just for edification's sake. All right. It's to, you know, to hide, treasure, store up. To be stored up, to hide from discovery. Okay? To hide, lay up, esteem, lurk. So, you know, he was laying in wait for them. Okay? Laying in wait for them. That's how I was able to get those 19 sticks of dynamite in that church. You know? And it's my understanding there was a phone call, you know, that preceded the destruction. All right? And that was in another account that I had read. All right? Let's get back to that. Verse 9. And the poor is the Israelites. Okay? His eyes are privily set against the poor. I'll read that in the NLT as well. Psalms 10 and 8. They lurk in ambush in the villages, waiting to murder innocent people. They are always searching for helpless victims. And that's exactly what happened. Okay? Exactly what happened with that bombing. Verse 9, on the left in the KJV. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. All right? And in the NLT, he said, like lions crouched in hiding, they wait to pounce on the helpless. Okay? Like hunters, they capture the helpless and drag them away in nets. Well, in this case, you know, they didn't drag them away physically, but, you know, they took their lives. Okay? With those bombs. All right? But that's okay. You know, Esau, you have to pay for that. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verses 5 and 6. All right. And we know this is talking about Esau, Edom, because we're prophesying against, in the verse 2, he says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Okay. And we know Mount Seir was the home of Esau, Edom, according to Genesis 36. All right. So this is talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Ezekiel 35, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6, therefore as I live, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So, that pretty much goes back into the law, a life for a life. But, the thing is, you murdered us. We're going to righteously kill you, in righteousness. That's the law, a life for a life. And you didn't care about the amount of blood that you shed of ours. Okay? So, yes, you will have recompense for that. All right? You will have recompense for everything that you did to Jake, and it's coming. All right? And like I was saying, those officials, not one of them, an Alabama official or one of the local officials didn't show up to that funeral. Most likely, they knew about what was going to happen. That's why those guys were never brought to justice. Okay? That is a pattern in every one of these videos that we've done. The government has always had their hands in the demise of Jake. All right? One way or the other, either covertly or overtly. All right? I mean, either in secret or out in the open. Okay? This is the book of Proverbs 17 and 15. Slakia. Proverbs 17 and verse 15. And it reads, he that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And yeah, because in history, not holding them accountable, having a part in it, you justify what they did. Okay? In the condemnation of Jake. All right? He says, you both are an abomination to the Lord, which means he's going to be dealing with you. All right? Real quick. And, you, even though you didn't have the judgment you were supposed to have, it's going to come, dead or alive, as the scriptures say, you're going to come back for judgment, even though you didn't receive it. Same thing with that Carol Dunham Bryant, who had Emmett Till knocked off. Same thing. She didn't get away. Let's prove that. This is the book of 2nd Ezra. It's in the Apocrypha. 2nd Ezra, chapter 14. Go straight to the point, verse 35. And it reads, for after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again. It's reincarnation. Okay? When we shall live again. And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest. Okay? The righteous are your Israelites. Okay? And the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Okay? And who is the ungodly? It's you other heathen nations, especially you, Esau, Edom. Especially you. All right? And you will pay. There will be recompense for your works, okay? Which was putting hell on Jake, murdering him as well too. All right? This is the book of Joel, chapter 3. Beginning at verse 19. And it reads, Egypt shall be a desolation. Egypt meaning the house of bondage, which is what America is. Also Babylon the Great, all right? And Edom, the so-called white man, his entire nation, shall be a desolate wilderness, okay? America, okay, for all that you did to us. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Yes, on this land alone, Jake's blood soaks this soil of Babylon the Great, aka America. Okay, verse 20. But Judah, that's the southern kingdom, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, okay, your so-called Latinos and Native Americans, from generation to generation. That's us being in those new bodies, having the laws, statutes, and commandments on our inward parts, okay, being in immortality, being in our glory, okay. And here's the point here, what the Lord says, verse 21. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. That's that avenging. He's going to avenge our blood, okay. For Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Let me get a drink of water right quick. What's a little dry? Salakia. Okay. Salakia, let's read that again. But Judah, the southern kingdom, okay, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, your so-called Latinos and Native Americans, from generation to generation. Once again, that's us in those new bodies, okay, having the laws, statutes, and commandments within our inner parts. You know, that's the second covenant that's spoken about in Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34, and quoted again in Hebrews 8, chapter 8, verses 8 through 13, okay. Verse 21, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. Okay, he's not cleansed the blood. We're going to find out how he's going to cleanse it. For Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, dwelleth in Zion. And Zion is that memorial, the monument, which is the nation of Israel. Okay? All right? But he says, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. How is he going to do that? This is the book of Numbers, chapter 35 and verse 33. And it reads, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. Okay? Our blood has defiled this land. All right? More than any of the blood on this earth. Okay? And it says, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Okay? But by the blood of him that shed it. So yes, Esau, Edom, you know it. The elites know it already. You know it in the spirit. You know, that recompense is coming by what from us by the hand of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for what you did to us. All right? And I'll close out with this. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, beginning at verse 9. And it reads, if any man have an ear, let him hear. It's a man with understanding. Okay? If he has understanding, let him understand. Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So yeah, Esau, Edom, you've had us in captivity for the longest. Okay? Going all the way from the, well, first of all, you put your hands on us coming out of Egypt. You helped other nations with our demise. Okay? The Syrian captivity, Babylonian captivity. Okay? You had us in the Greek and Roman captivity. That was you, Idumeans. Okay? Then the Dark Ages came, or the Byzantine Empire, when we were in power. And then you came back in power during the Renaissance period to this date. Okay? So yes, you have led us into captivity, and you have killed us with the sword. Your turn is coming up. Okay? It says, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites, according to Psalms 148, verse 14. All right? Psalms 50 and 5. The saints are the Israelites. Okay? That's what we waiting for. You know? for that opportunity. We are, especially the ones who are out here on the highways and byways, meditating terror on you. Okay, according to Malachi 1:14. Okay, no, not that. That's not Malachi. That's the Lord's name is going to be dreadful to the heathen. We coming in His name. All right. Yeah, but we are meditating terror on you. I believe that's in Isaiah. Let me just make sure, for edification's sake. Meditate terror. Yeah, Isaiah 33. All right. And our heart and our mind, which is our mind, la'ab, mean we're going to meditate terror on you. All right. So, yeah, just a matter of time. You will pay for what you've done. All right. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala. We got next. Shalom.